Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Butcher's Bible Podcast. I'm your host, Ant.
And I'm Luke.
We're two blokes preaching the good word of the meat industry.
One episode at a time.
Tonight, we have a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. We have the one, the only, the beautiful, the talented Flora Phillips.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too bad. Busy day.
Good for
Bearing up against it.
Yes, aren't we all?
Yeah. So, Flora, if you want to plug and promote anything and everything that you are doing right now.
Oh gosh. I suppose the main thing really that I'm doing, and I guess we'll come on to this, the reason why I came to become a butcher is actually through offal. So I have, now it's a brand beyond me, but in essence it's me, and that's Floffal. So I basically want to reintroduce and reinvigorate, I call it like life's offcut, so like the bits in and around food, specifically offal. It's just stemmed from a really personal, very long fascination and kind of obsession with offal. Just from the age of about 11, I remember my mother bringing lamb's liver home, and it's quite a long story. So as like a simple plug, yeah, it's based in an obsession with offal, and that obviously got me into the meat industry. And at first I thought maybe I'll chef, but I was already cooking at that point, and butchery appealed to me so much more. And I was slightly deterred from training up to be a chef because I thought, well, to be honest, I'm probably barely going to have any access to offal. Where can I get an offal readily every single day? A butcher's. So I'll go into butchery, and I'd already done a little bit of it at home myself. So yeah, and kind of 18 months down the line, I've always started this whole carcass, and now I'm working at Butcher Shop, which is part of Art Farm. Art Farm is actually owned by a firm called Hauser and Worth, who are gallerists. And my background is actually in art. So before I was a butcher, I was an art dealer, and I was very wet. Yeah. So I've gone from selling fine art to selling fine meats.
Yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, at the moment I'm really loving this kind of multidisciplinary butcher chef butcher, I guess, creative pursuit that I'm doing. And it's very independent, it's very individual. I'm very, very committed to being a butcher and all of the discipline and the rigor that comes with that, and as a profession in and of itself. But I think I'm never going to be the kind of person who can just put all my eggs in one basket, as it were. All these different relations occur to me, and I can't ignore them. And weirdly, just by chance, I actually find butchery to be incredibly creatively stimulating, and that impacts my cooking as a chef, but almost like as an art form. Because I always wanted to paint and everything like that. But you just look at your materials, I can get really kind of sort of wistful and like fluffy about it. But I honestly, like, I would compare using a knife, like wielding a knife and cutting into meat and understanding your raw material, literally like raw material. There's so many puns. But that as like akin to an oil painter who knows how to work with oil paint, and every single cut and the colors are different, and oil is different to acrylic or different to pastel. It's just like breaking down beef compared to pork, compared to lamb, compared to chicken. It's all really different, and you've got to have the right knife for it. You've got to know how it behaves, how it operates, how it ages, how it changes. And it's just kind of a never-ending fascination for me. So is that a plug? I don't know. The plug is really Floffal. But I feel like sometimes it helps to give context, because just going straight in with offal is either people sort of think, why aren't you a chef? Or actually, I can appreciate that it's kind of contradictory, because really butchery is about the whole rest of the animal. So really that's why I came to it, because I knew I was obsessed with the insides of an animal, and I thought it's only fair and it's only right and will elevate everything that I'm trying to do if I can understand the rest of the animal, which I was less familiar with. So that's how I became a butcher. And it's just, I just adore it. Like, it's mesmerizing. It's my version of meditation, I think.
Very cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
So usually people start from the outside in, but you're like, nah, we're going straight. We're going straight
in.
Yeah.
I'm quite not bad, but I'm quite naughty, because I literally, like, I would never go for pork belly. I would never go for even like sirloin steak. I love creating it. I love butchering it. But if I'm going home and cooking for myself, even if I'm going out to a restaurant, that's just not something I'm going to choose. It's just, there's something about offal. It just hits all the right points on my taste buds, and all of my senses. It just, like,
it's that animalistic, like that caveman style, and just
kind of it. I do wonder if I'm just degenerate, but like, but I think I'm just
it was straight in there.
Yeah,
straight in. But I think,
is that a plug?
Maybe that's the tagline.
That is.
Yeah, just forget your manners. Come and gnaw on some raw offal. Yeah, it is quite interesting. I think it's just, maybe the word nostalgic is wrong, but it was just such a fundamental. I'm going to sound like a drug addict now. Like, the first time, like, you take the hit and you're like, oh my God, it hit me. I know you just want the same hit over and over again, but quite genuinely, like, I crave, like, iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I haven't had liver for a while or something like that, and I think about liver and I just crave it. But I have this very specific point in time when I was 11 years old, and this all ties into, like, the Floffal approach as well. And my mother bought back from the reduced section of the supermarket. So, as an aside, Floffal actually is not, like, I'm not some crazy carnivore cave lady. I am in one sense, but that's not really the essence of it, because Floffal could literally be vegan or vegetarian. Like, I call it being a domestic scavenger. So when I talk about life's offcuts, it's like, it's personally for me, like, I bin dive. I literally bin dive. I mean, I dive into the bins at work, because when you get a side of pork in, everyone chucks the kidney away. So I had to go foraging in the bone bin to get it.
That's me.
That's what I think.
That's me.
Yeah, but you're not going to sell it. Like, no one.
Even that old school. Cut the pork chop with the fillet, and then you got the kidney attached to it. I know,
but you don't see that anymore. People are disgusted by it. Yeah, like, the number of people and they're polite, but I know they're disgusted by the idea of, and
that's the holy grail. That's the holy grail of, like, pork chop. Like, that is the number one. Dave Corbett's fucking spitting.
Do you reckon?
He's seething. He's throwing his laptop up.
A lot. Well, you know, I think I totally agree with you. But day to day, it's unfamiliar, and it does demand that kind of added explanation. And most of the time, I don't really blame people if they are disgusted. What I'm frustrated by is, like, deliberate ignorance. If you're purely ignorant and you've never seen a kidney before, or you've never seen a heart, like, that's not your fault, because you didn't grow up with a local butcher, or they didn't happen to do that, or it's not even about affording, you know, but, like, you only shop in the supermarket, so you don't see that stuff.
Right.
And the thing with offal is that it's so literal and so visceral. That's why I adore it, frankly. I think it's so fascinating, and it makes me feel, I use the word intimacy a lot with my work, and I think that makes people feel really uncomfortable, because it's so literal. People verge on this idea of empathy. So it's very convenient to forget that a living, breathing, feeling animal has died in order for you to have your steak supper. It's really convenient. And totally disconnected. So when you're faced with something as literal as that, and you realize, oh, I'm a mammal. Oh my God, I have kidneys. It's repulsive. I didn't fully understand that repulsion, because for me, that's exactly the key point at which I suddenly realize how special it is that I'm eating this.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel really compelled, maybe obliged. I don't want to get too like ethical and about it, but it's just a personal, like, real fascination with me, and that level of like intimacy and appreciation. I just think it's really unique, and we are in unique positions that we can farm animals and we can slaughter them as we like. We've created this whole thing.
Yes.
So you might as well, it's like Fergus Henderson says, it's only polite to eat the whole animal, and I totally agree. But
love that.
What I try and do with Floffal as well is I talk about rehomogenizing it. Personally, for me, and I don't expect, and I'm not really campaigning for everyone to have the attitude that I have, because it is extreme, and it is quite a lot.
Hey, Anne.
Yes, Luke.
Spring's coming, and our friends over at Was a Sauce Hut are having an exclusive offer for all your cooking needs. When you use code BB15, that's BB15, and get 15% off all purchases.
From gift cards to family and single pack sauces, they range from Luke's favorite apple bourbon sauce to Anne's mango, all the way through to their award-winning Crack and Fury rum-infused hot sauce. Woo! You start stacking your shelves and get ready for summer, and most importantly, save yourself some money with the code BB15. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
So it's about rehomogenizing offal with the whole rest of the animal. So like for me, it's exceptional. It shouldn't be an exception, and it's my personal preference to always choose that, again, for kind of those reasons that I've touched upon. But I guess in terms of like in being a chef, like a lot of the inspiration that I get is seeing very accepted, very admired methods of cooking or combinations. So like something I did really recently with Gizzy Earthskin, like just this week it came out, and it was a take on beef and oyster, which is such a classic combination, and not many people will question it unless you don't like oysters or something like that. But it's been around so long. I'm such a slut for
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes. There we are.
Very cool.
People find that hilarious. So someone came into my old butcher shop once, and they just couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "What's funny? Have I got something on my face?" And they were like, "No, it's just so funny. You're a butcher, but your tattoos of an oyster." I also I'm meant to have like
bitch.
Yeah,
hilarious
tattoos. Yeah, I know. They just found, they were like, "Oh, it's just so ironic."
Yeah.
I've also got a tooth on this one, and I'm about to break yours, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. This molar. Well, and again, this is ironic, because the reason the molar's here is because I eat a lot of raw vegetables, so my molars are just really strong. I'm just constantly like, So I actually don't eat that much meat, but when I eat meat, it's awful. But anyway,
cool.
Yeah. In terms of the approach to cooking this beef and oyster dish, but it was ox heart with oyster. So I'm trying to, and I've had more recently people approaching me, ask, how do I cook this? How do I guess it is a good lesson for me, because it reminds me how much there is to learn. And also, I say this with like sounding a bit knobby, but like you really do have to explain it to people, and sometimes you almost have to justify it to people, but people are intimidated. People are intimidated by butchers, like hands down. They don't want to talk to you, they don't want to ask you questions, seeing all this meat, like, and if you don't know what a steak is and you come in for something and you don't really know what it looks like, or someone will say, "Oh yeah, it's there," and they're like, "That's not what I thought it was," or it's a bit darker because it's slightly aged and it doesn't look bright red. It's an intimidating environment. I've always said, like, there's something about meat that sends people loopy.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's like this weird, like, subconscious relation that they know they have to it, but they don't want it. They don't want to
associate themselves with the living
associate themselves with it. Yeah, they don't want to like think about it too much. They just want to like just give it to me and go. You know, these people like rushing out to the butchers, like probably not with what they've got, but they've just given up because they got scared. A guy did that to me yesterday, and I was really trying to talk him through. And then you suddenly question yourself: am I being patronising? And this is specifically the thing with offal as well. And it. So yeah, I think it's. There's this thing about the beef and oyster. Yeah, the rehomogenizing I think is the most important thing, rather than really having conversations with people who they categorically don't like the flavor of liver. They'll try it and they say, I don't like it, but I completely understand why you would eat it, why it's important to eat it. I just fundamentally don't like it. Absolutely fine. Like, brilliant. It's the fact that they're embracing that kind of attitude towards it rather than specifically eating it, and it actually trying to do, and it's just impacted but really I'm trying to also prove through my cooking that it can be really delicate, really beautiful. If anything, it's more creatively stimulating than doing. And that's really exciting, because if you're already cooking with something that's a bit weird, you're like, oh, I might just chuck something random in there. And that's literally what Floffal is. Like, so many of the things that I create are based what's been in the reduced section, and you just do research. And for years and years and years, I've just absorbed cooking books, absorbed recipes, absorbed cooking programs.
Good
so
recipe.
You can then just translate, you know, it's like in art, everyone starts with like photo.
Oh no.
Fuck.
She dropped out. You can see that coming.
Yeah. There she is.
Hello? You dropped out, Flora. How did the internet? You dropped out. You
Is that my
disappeared.
internet?
Yeah. You were glitching a little bit in the audio.
I was talking about, it's like similar to, funnily enough, in art, you know, everyone, or most of the time, you never just start with abstraction. Like, you start with like figurative, studious stuff, and then you can kind of abstract further. And I just think there's just something wonderful about offal. I just think it's quite liberating because it's new and it's a challenge. And I guess I'm just one of those people. It challenges me in the best way.
Yeah. Some of the dishes you put out look great on the actual Floffal. They are very, very creative.
Yeah. It's literally a creative pursuit for me, and it is meditative, and it's so immersive. Every single sense is engaged in cooking, but like particularly with butchery. I mean, if you are distracted, I'm always in my own head anyway. But really, it almost is like meditation, because sometimes I'll be completely zoned out in my head and I'll be thinking about one thing, but then my body, I guess it's just like muscle memory, but it's like you have to be so choreographed as a butcher, the way that you move around. And I really enjoyed that as well. And I think I've learned specifically, I'm going to say it, as I'm a woman, I'm just fundamentally not as strong as the boys. So I do genuinely believe like I've learned a way to use gravity and use my body kind of in a different way. And as much as like I can't have the brute force of just soaring through something, sometimes I'm constantly like moving it around and kind of changing positions and everything like that. There's plenty of things that I can do because I've got smaller fingers, so my little fingers can get in rather than big sausages. So but yeah, I've really, I think it is that specific kind of intimacy and excitement, because it is challenging, but you could also argue that offal is just so literal, because it is something we can all relate to. Like, we can all relate to having a heart, having a liver, having kidneys.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you look at a part of an animal, it's just really like a rib cage or something like that, you don't necessarily think of yourself. And people see that more as meat than the offal.
It is quite shocking to some people, I think. As you say, that woman screamed.
Yeah, it is. It is shocking. It is, because it looks like it looks like death, or it looks like something inside out, or it's just not something that you see. When you think of a lamb, you either think of something covered in wool, frolicking in a field, or you think about lamb shanks and mashed potato. You don't get the whole
picture. You don't get the whole.
You don't get the whole trajectory. You don't get the whole journey, and they get butchery and cooking, but butchery specifically is deconstruction and reconstruction. There's the creative process that I encounter, but what we're also doing is taking meat off a bone as best we can, but we're also like deconstructing the concept of a dead animal into food. And so when people see the dead animal, they're like, but then when they see a lamb cutlet, they're like, yum.
And
I find that fascinating. Like, I think it's so, I talk about it being a privilege as a butcher, because I think it's a really specific, like quite a special thing where we see that transformation every single day, and we totally forget, because we've done it, because we understand what it takes to do a really nice French trim lamb cutlet, from receiving a whole lamb in, like, I don't know, half an hour ago. But people don't have that. And I think I would love to kind of empower people to, if you have the opportunity, ask to see, because it is fascinating, and you don't have to. I really struggle to believe that people don't take something away from that. And I do, maybe I do actually kind of think it's your duty, if you eat meat, that I do think it's your duty to at least be accepting of what it is. Like, if it's disgusting, it's disgusting, but you really ought to see, because it's just not fair. That's the deliberate ignorance that comes in, and that really pisses me off.
We've been saying that since the beginning of the podcast as well. It's just like, we've been
education,
the education of it, and being privileged, because we
exposure.
Do tail, and we do the head to tail, and then people put a bit of beef on the side and like, but like we've been saying it since the beginning as well. It's like we've taken this very ancient art form, we're deconstructing, reconstructing, and then presenting, and it's like people just don't see it, like you said, and then it's just a brilliant art form, and it's just not getting the recognition that it should. And to lower that as well, where you're going, offal is like top form in your world, where I'm like, I can sell that all day and I get rid of it, or do sausages, or do burgers out of it, rah rah. And you're like, nah, this is top dog. And I'm like, it's giving me more of an appreciation and a more of a understanding as well. And I'm really fired up. But I need to know about the dish with the oysters. Please tell me.
Oh my God. I've done quite a few dishes with oysters, actually. I did the sort of smoked oysters I did with Gizzy more recently, and that was a whole ox heart that I just kind of broke down. And there's a video showing that. And to essentially, it's like a steak. So it's a couple of minutes on either side. And again, it's introducing people to the fact that, like, it's literally just another part of the animal. So it will behave in the same way, and it will have the same flavor profile. Like, not specifically, but like the same pairings, you can make it work. So it was just an ox heart steak, really nicely caramelized, couple of minutes on either side, rest. And then I'm really obsessed with I can't remember the name of the brand, but there are these tins of smoked oysters that I get in Morrison's, and they're fucking insane. They're so good. They're so punchy.
Are they super gold looking, like really tiny, super gold, like tans?
Gold is they're like yellowy green, which doesn't sound nice. But they're amber. No, they're not. But they're just amazing, and they're so punchy. And I just put those on top, like drizzled a little bit of the oil in there, and it's like under £3 for these. They're not going to be like the best oysters in the world, but it's just, again, it's like you don't have to be super fancy. And I kind of want to stay humble about it. But I think if you remain humble and you admit how much you don't know, that's literally the most liberating thing to just try. So some of the Floffal stuff is weird and it's not perfect, but I'm not a professionally trained chef. Like, I'm a self-taught chef. I call myself the chef because other chefs have called me a chef, but I didn't for ages. And it's very exposing. You're quite vulnerable in that way, and I do feel quite vulnerable. But like, literally that process of like accessing your vulnerability is really healthy. It makes you appreciate your food so much more. Like cooking a whole ox heart, like having a whole ox heart in your hands is extraordinary. Like, I do not look at any cut of beef in the same way. Like, it's just so, it's so overwhelming, it's so humbling, and you can just kind of like forget about yourself and marvel at this incredible thing and then eat it.
I think that's something that
eating it. Like,
every time you look at it, even in the shop where you get it out the bag or wherever you get it from, that's the one thing you go, fucking size of that. Like, it's real. It is a visceral experience of
totally.
You relate it to yourself in a way.
Yeah, you do, because it just reminds you what it is. It's so literal, and you look at how powerful it is, and then maybe for a split second I think about my own heart and I'm like, I can just remove all sense of entitlement. Like, it's such a privilege to hold this thing. It is so beautiful. It's like, it's biological, completely natural, perfect mechanism. And I'm dithering about my life like it's just displacing in like the most healthy way. And I think anything you do in life that can kind of allow you to almost access that is really, really special. But because it's so physical as well, I think it's the physicality of it as well. And I always say this about butchery, it's just every single sense and part of you is engaged, and that's kind of amazing and disarming, because so often we're just up in here, whereas like you rely on your body so much. And I think that's really, really important, because we are animals. Like, we prove that time and time and again, sometimes in horrendous ways. We are animals as well. We're way more dysfunctional animals than the cows that we're breaking down. And so it's just really wonderful to kind of have that intimacy with them. I think it's really important. But I also think that when I go and forage wild garlic, I will stare at like a wild garlic flower for 3 minutes and just be like, this is so,
they are very
so perfect. I could never come up with this myself. Like, this is a totally unman-made, untouched thing. And you look at the anatomy of it, it's incredible. Like, it's stunning. And me and my manager, we often talk about like, how long would it take to like butcher a cow with your bare hands? Like, if we didn't have knives or anything like that, like what could we use to saw it? And we really get it. It's just like the most incredible thing. So all of that comes into it as well. But yeah, the beef and smoked oyster is amazing. I've done crispy pig's ears with smoked oyster aioli. So the same smoked oysters, but as like a little pub snack thing. Yeah. Because pig's ears are amazing. The pig is obviously the absolute marvel with the pig is that you literally can eat every single part of it, even though pork is my least favourite. But I love butchering it, but I honestly barely eat pork. But Floffal is precisely about that. Like you said, talking about putting it into a sausage or anything like that. How can we disguise it for what it is? I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, I want you to know exactly what you're eating. You're eating a heart. There it is on the plate.
Yeah.
You're eating a liver. There it is on the plate. And yes, I'm serving it pink. Or like, yes, I'm going to show you this cross section right here, right now. The tongue. This is the base. This is where the tongue is like based in the throat. See all of that complex muscle. And that's exactly what you are eating. I'm not disguising it. And I don't discredit the skill and the insane talent and creativity that any other chef would have in using offal in a different way. And I definitely take inspiration from that. But I really want to like herald it and celebrate it in its literalness. Because that's personally my fascination. So I want you to know what you're eating. And if you're disgusted with it and you can't get over it, that's okay. But like, please try it. Like, people always talk about brain. They're like, oh, I can eat anything, but it's just the brain for me. I can't get past the brain. Like,
Yeah.
Where do
is
you
that
stand
because
on
you have a
brain?
brain?
Where do you stand on?
Oh, I
brain?
love
Do
it.
you use it?
Yeah, I've used it a lot.
Good.
I've used it a lot. I love it. Brain is the first time I wasn't scared, but I suddenly thought, is this really gonna hit? Because you
brain.
really don't encounter brains, and it really does.
Depends on what part of the
It's
world.
just so
you're at.
literal. It's so crazy. Like it looks like coral. It looks like something.
Brain coral. That's what it's named after. On the Great Barrier Reef, you got brain coral.
Really.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think, but I can't discriminate, and as seeing that brain, I think it's so beautiful. There's something in me that just wants to get close to it and investigate it. I'm not disgusted by it, which is strange, and I guess I'm still trying to work that out in a way. But I don't want to have to end doing it for the right reasons. But I think, I get a lot of people just very regularly called like a witch or a goth or like. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've had a lot of people say like, "Oh, you're a witch," or "You're just a big goth." I've had vampire. I've had.
That's from the
Yeah,
uneducated.
I mean,
That's what it
hiding
is.
on social media, people come, but it's from they're like, "Oh, you're scary, you're intimidating." I'm like, why? Because just unfamiliar. And I find that really interesting. I never really know how to answer it, and it's sort of there is no answer. And I don't.
You don't have to give them an answer. They can fucking figure it out for themselves when they grow the fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like, and then people say, "Oh, careful, she's got knives." I'm like,
Well, that you're a butcher.
yeah, I do,
You
but
disappear. One of those ones.
yeah, it's a lot of people think I've had a crisis because I'm a butcher, because I became a butcher because I was working in art before.
It's funny there, isn't it?
I went to university. I got a really, really good degree. I love my degree. I worked in interior design and architecture. I worked in brand development, like all of this stuff. But the entire time on my days off, what was I doing? I was going to Borough Market in search of offal on my days off, and I was planning what to cook and trying to find it. And then one day I just realized all I'm thinking about is offal. I need to do something about this. And I handed in my resignation at the gallery I was working at. My gallery director was like, "Are you going to another gallery?"
Yeah, Judas.
I said, "No, I'm." Yeah, exactly. Which they will think. And I said, "No." I said, "I'm leaving to build a career out of offal." And she was like, "Okay, how are you going to do that?" I was like, I don't know. I don't know, but I really, really need to do this because it's all I'm thinking. And I used to kind of like slip it in any opportunity, going to St. John or finding offal on the menu, or it was just, I just think it's so beautiful and exciting.
Very cool. Yeah,
I love how passionate you are about.
yeah. People think that I'm going through a crisis, but I actually am. So that's what it is. That's the difference.
Well, people say, "You're going through a crisis." I'm like, which? So many crises going on.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear about this week's or last month's?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a butcher now. I complain about absolutely everything.
Have
That's
you
what it
checked
is.
this back pain out, man? Jesus.
Yeah.
It's funny. I guess I've been, because I didn't really grow up with a local butcher. My mother went to one every now and then, but I didn't really grow up with one. She did quite a lot. My father shot quite a lot, and I kind of have I have memories of like a brace of pheasants hanging by the front door, or my mother like plucking them. But I never really. It's funny. She was a good cook, but she wasn't particularly adventurous or anything like that. Really, sorry, love you. But she was enamored with nature and animals, and it's from her that I genuinely have the opinion I prefer animals to humans. And I have this conversation with people at work. I just say, I just don't want to talk to anyone today. Like I really just want to, I just want to be with my lammies. And people, and I'd say I just prefer animals to humans. I was like, that's why I have this job, because they never get boring. Never boring.
Yeah.
I talk to them. Is that creepy? Is that witchy? I literally talk.
It depends if they talk back.
When I was first,
that's what it is.
No, it's not weird.
They don't, but it's more
Rhetorical questions.
Like when I first started, yeah, when I first started, like if I made a mistake or I cut through something, I would literally say, "Oh no, sorry."
Yeah,
and the butcher would be like, "It's already dead. It can't feel it." But I was just so, just so completely, attached. Yeah. What I mean, well, this makes sense as well, and this is just the funny one, and it's not helping like the Victorian child profile that I seem to be gaining. But I also do taxidermy, so that
was a cool skill, man.
That was like, and I've got some of my taxidermy in my room actually.
I need one.
So, yeah, I will be taking questions. But that kind of, it's butchery in a way, but it's more like anatomy. But then during lockdown, I was suddenly like, this is so great because I can find roadkill and I can stuff it and eat it. And that was just, it's just using found things.
Yeah.
But it is that appreciation, I think, and I think about it in a different way. Like people always go on about marbling or fat content and everything, and I love that because it is important. It is just fascinating to see, but and maybe I'm dangerously subjective about it, and I should be more objective about it. But
no, I think what you're saying rings true to a lot of people. They just don't admit it. I apologize to any meat that I have to throw away. And like, thank you for your service as you throw it into the bin. So that sort of thing is the connection as a butcher that you have to the meat itself. Yeah, you're in there. You're physically involved with this animal that was alive a week ago, 3 weeks ago. And
it's just using your hands. It's that thing about using your hands. Anything that uses your hands is I saw like an article or something that came out recently, and it was just like using your hands.
Oh no!
Pause it.
Cool. There you go.
Yeah, this article about people using their hands, and people are changing careers, and now they're deliberately deciding to, pursue something. And just like, I do pottery after work.
Congratulations,
hang on.
hobby.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. Sorry, you just disappeared from my screen. Okay, we're back. And I remember seeing that, and I was, are you good? Yeah, you're there?
Yeah, I'm just waving. Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're back. I was like, hello.
Hello.
I'm fine.
This article, and it was just one of those prissy ones about people using their hands again and how great it is, and I was just like, no shit. People, we're not really built to like sit in front of a screen. I mean, I know we've all done it, and I'm not discrediting those jobs. Like I've done them, and it's not for everyone. But
it's about people getting sick. That's what it is. Everyone's just sitting this far away from a screen for a million hours a day. I myself, I've only ever done manual labor jobs, and
really,
I feel fine.
Yeah.
No, I've been a butcher since I was 15, so it's just one thing. But that's it.
That's wow.
It was a rare.
I think that's so cool. Like doing one solid thing. Like was one of my biggest insecurities. Like even growing up, everyone was like, "What's your passion?" And I was like, I haven't got one, like I'm off, and now it's awful, which is, it's just funny. But in terms of like a discipline, I think honestly, like butchery and cooking, or trying to combine the two in a way, or just be both, is the most like happy, like, or at least seen that I felt in a long, long time. Like I really, it's just given me a lot of confidence. Like I'm not afraid. Like I talked about it being a challenge. It's exciting, or it's just like I'm always curious. You can always learn. Finding something where you can never learn enough, you can never know enough. It's golden.
I've felt that with butchery.
Yeah, exactly. No,
but still learning.
Yeah, you still learn, and every now and then you think you know exactly, and then suddenly your shoulder blades like it's slightly larger than you think, and it's just constantly, there's no end to it, and I think it's just so special. I just feel really lucky.
Yeah. I'd like to go on to you and where you first started your career as a butcher and how that was.
So I was working at the art gallery and I knew I wanted to become a butcher. So I as I was working my notice on my days off, I was just walking into butchers asking them for a job, which you might be able to imagine was quite an experience.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any particularly horrible experiences, but I had a lot of faces and saying, because I was going in saying, hello, I just wondering if you were like taking any apprentices or had any jobs. I've got retail experience and I cook and I'm really, really obsessed with offal. And I have been for years, and I do taxidermy, so I think I'm okay with like anatomy, and I can use.
And you're not afraid of anything,
And I said, and I love it, and I'm fascinated by it. I really, really want to learn. And people were just confused or just saying, no, we haven't really got anything. But it kind of didn't deter me. I worked the first place I tried was Borough Market, and I can't believe I did that. I laugh at myself because it's
straight into the ginger pig,
like intimidating environment. Well, funny enough, I had connections with the ginger pig because one of my old housemates manages the ginger pig shop in Barnes. We got
the big hookup. We know George Donnelly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're good friends with him. Yeah.
And I had a meeting with a guy from the ginger pig, and he was just really obsessed with my taxidermy, and he was like, can I commission what does he want stuffed? He wants something stuffed.
A cow.
I was like, in exchange for like, it was a bird, I think. I think he wanted like a cockerel. Can't remember.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
And so yeah, but then that didn't really kind of like manifest to anything, and I don't really think he had a position for me. I do think he believed in me though. So I just had all of these like really nice conversations where I just felt like very established men in the industry were talking to me because they sensed that I was really, really passionate about it and I really wanted to do it. And I was always going to bring more to it than just like, I need a job and I don't care how many hours I work and I'm not squeamish. That's it. Yeah. And then I was working my last weekend at the gallery and two of my clients came in and they said, oh no, you're leaving. Why are you leaving? I said, I'm going to pursue a career as a waffle. Said, oh my God, right. What are you going to do? And I said, well, I've been walking into butchers at the moment. I need to become a butcher for the reasons that I've mentioned. And they went, oh my God, our best friend's a butcher. He's coming around for a drink this evening. He's got a shop. Do you want to put us in touch? Like, let us take your personal number. So they did. And then that evening, I was on the bus on the way to meet a friend for a drink, and John called me. And he said, oh, my friends, blah, blah, blah. So we had a conversation for about 45 minutes. And he was like, right, I need to meet you. We need to have a meeting in person. So then we met the following week. And then the week after that, beginning of November 2022, I walked into the shop and John took me through to the back block and there was a side of pork. And he was like, right, so you count this number of ribs in, and it was just straight in. And he really did let me. And I said, I will do anything. I will scrub your floor for 2 hours also, but like, please know, I am here to learn. I'm not just, please do not sideline me because I actually know stuff and I will bring something here. And so it was just really hard and fast. And he was there and he was like, yeah, you'll be my apprentice. But I was not on an apprenticeship scheme. And I do think he'd admit that he was really barely there. So it was me and one other head butcher, Jonas, who is from Brazil and has been butchering since he was 10 years old.
Amazing.
He is now 41, 42. And it was just me and him. And this little shop in Ladywell in southeast London. And, my first couple of weeks, I'm just stamping the bags and I'm, laying out the sausages and everything like that, and really desperately trying to learn how to sharpen a knife, which took me ages. I overthought it. And it just, I guess it just snowballed, because every opportunity, I have very sharp memories very early on of what I would do is go into the bone bin. Poor Jonas was on his own. He was the only one actually butchering, and we had a whole counter and we had customers. We were busy. And we were whole carcass. So I'm making sausages and all of this up, and he was doing all of this, and I could appreciate he wasn't briefed. He didn't know that he was taking in someone. I wasn't his apprentice. It wasn't his responsibility to teach me. It was John's. John wasn't there because he was trying to expand the business, and I don't know. He wasn't.
He's the boss. He's the boss.
Let's not get into it. Yeah. So what I would then start doing was picking the bones out of the bone bin and continuing to trim them down. So I was like, because I can practice my knife skills. I'm also learning the shape of bones. And I would watch, and poor Jonas, I would just grill him on everything. And English is not his first language. And I would watch and learn. And then I'd pick the bones up out of the bone bin and then try and imagine what it was and remember what he was doing. And then you just find these moments, and I would just hound him and say, give this to me, please, can I do it? Please, can I finish it off? Tell me what to do.
In vogue.
Chris was there. I was behind the counter, and Chris looked at me, we just exchanged this look that wasn't really anything that expressive, but we both knew immediately what had just happened is the guy had just completely bypassed me and gone straight to a man. And it interrupted Chris in the middle of the admin that he was doing on his laptop. So he didn't have a knife in his hand. He didn't, but of course he's the butcher. And it was just one of those
in the guy's eyes.
Yeah, he's the butcher in his eyes, and we just kind of both shrugged and carried on. But it's, as I said before, I don't necessarily blame people for it. I have put myself in this position. I have specifically chosen to be in a categorically male-dominated environment, and it's not just butchery. There's so many evidences of that anywhere at any time, and probably for men in female-dominated industries. But there is just something about it that is I guess I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I really don't think personally I'm trying to prove anything, and I know I can't. And it's quite a relief, because I've never been a competitive person. And again, as I said earlier, it's certainly not about embracing my masculine side. It's literally how do I navigate this? I found such joy in being able to, I was actually going to say butcher like a girl, which is just silly. But it's more if I am going to talk about the gender thing, it's more sorry, I'm bleeding. I cut I had a little, I did one of those annoying, your knife just goes dunk on your knuckle.
Yeah.
And I really,
from the heel or tip.
Just, I didn't even notice it at the time. And then suddenly you're like, oh, there's I don't know whose blood it is.
Yeah.
But it's just a really annoying one right on my thumb knuckle, my thuckle. It's the thuckle. But yeah, it's really interesting. I'm still figuring it out, and I don't want to shun away from the fact that I'm a woman in the industry, because I want to celebrate that. But but I don't want it to be the reason. I don't want that to be, that's not my plug, you know, you were talking about plugs earlier. And I think there's something to be said about a woman being a butcher for the suit, like smaller fingers, like more delicate. And I use gravity a lot, and I love doing that because again, this sounds wrong. It just means that I get my hands on the meat more, just because I can constantly like manipulate it around and see it, and then you suddenly realize you're probably doing like, you know, when you're doing something like a Côte de Boeuf. So I was doing a Côte de Boeuf today, and like you forget how the muscles that you engage. It's like some weird, awkward, jaunty yoga that you do, and you're engaging muscles that you would never normally engage. And then you get to the end of the day and you're almost like drunk on this like post endorphin thing. And then you're suddenly like, oh my God. And I said, like, the way that my body's changed and stuff, just my shoulders are just like the weirdest shaped things in the world. And it's so kind of,
it's a practical,
it's just bizarre.
Isn't it?
They're just like, I don't know what's happened. It's all, but I love it in a way, because actually we're all self-conscious in one way, but like every time I feel insecure or I feel self-conscious about the fact that I can't, without getting too deep into it, but like just being totally honest, like there's some really lovely tops that like I can't wear anymore because my shoulders are too big. Which is, I can't, you know, they fit really weirdly, and I've had to like buy new clothes because of it and all of this stuff, and that's like quite sad normally, and a bit depressing and a bit like she's let herself go. But actually, it's
in the shoulders.
Yeah,
in the shoulder.
Let her shoulders go. You see that more as a trophy this now, you know, show them off, surely, because they're for a practical reason.
Taxidermy those shoulders.
They're there for a practical. Yeah, it's more of a practical reason. I think it just in so many ways, it's just very funny how butchery's kind of like really infiltrated my life, and it is quite all or nothing. You have to commit to it, and I think would I rather be more slender, or be able to fit into this nice pretty top and like have a more pronounced like decollage and look all, you know, or would I rather be able to do my bloody job? I'd rather be able to do my job, because the amount of frustration and insecurity I felt because I couldn't do stuff because I wasn't strong enough, or I just didn't have the muscle memory before. And I want to be a butcher, and I want to do a proper job, and I want to be able to do the things, not the things that the guys, I just want to be able to do it all. And so it's irrelevant. And it's kind of given me a really lovely life lesson in that as well. But yeah, I could, we would be here until 3 a.m. if you wanted all the anecdotes that I have about people treating me in a certain way. And also from women as well. From women, it's almost arguably more, oh yeah, women, well, just definitely ignore me. Or it's women who've said like, why? Even my mother, love you again, but every time she sees me, she grabs my hand. She goes, oh, you ruined your hands.
Your beautiful hands.
You used to have such lovely hands. Oh, your lovely, delicate hands. Oh, you've ruined them. You've ruined them. Aren't you ruining them? Oh, they're so, And I said, well, they're not ruined, actually. They're capable. But like, I've still got all my fingers. That's something to be said.
That's something to be said.
I've given it a good go, so don't worry about that.
So it's kind of, it's little things like that. And, yeah, it's just, well, people are one. There was a guy quite recently. I'll stop with the anecdote soon. I'll tell the hair story soon, because the hair story is a more fun anecdote. But I think it's quite important for people to hear this, because it's almost like cartoonish, like you couldn't write this stuff. And I think it's more about the industry as well, because I think it's a reflection on the industry, which I just wish wasn't the case, because it's the butchers are the people I don't like using the word should, but like you really can talk to us, and it is a privileged position. It's a really wonderful, special position that we're in, and we've got an insight like no one else, because I literally did it. It's like if you're buying a painting, you want to speak to the artist who painted it. You want to speak to the butcher who like received that lamb and made that. because they will know exactly what the meat's like, where the tenderest part is, like the amount of fat. They'll know how to give you what you want because they did it.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's like an artist taking a commission or something like that. I keep referring to the art thing. Maybe that's loaded for me, but it works in my opinion. But this guy came in and I served him. It was absolutely fine. And you get a lot of like, well done, good on you. Right. And then he said, he was sort of like hanging around. And I was like, is there anything else? But no, he said, so why are you here? I was like, it's my job. And he said, no, but what, you know, why are you a butcher? I said, because I love it. And I said, I mean, how long have you got? He went, oh, well, you know, he's just said, I mean, of course, you don't really see women butchering. I don't know any female butchers. Do you? Is there a club?
A club?
Is there a club?
I was like, a club? And I was like, I wish there was. I was like, we should get jackets. I actually don't personally know any other female butchers. But yeah, I'd join the club. And it's just those little things like that. And people just say that as a butcher anyway. I'm sure probably you've both encountered at some point. If you say to someone, what do you do? And you say, I'm a butcher. People are like, there's so many kind of...
They think you just prop up a counter. That's pretty much what my experience
Yeah, or they think you're a brute. And I'm like, have you any idea how delicate butchers are?
Yeah. Well, when people use the phrase, I butchered that, or they butchered that. And it's like, you mean they professionally deconstructed a carcass equal to eat? Yeah, okay. Not that you made a mess of it. The making a mess of it is gone. That's sort of like, it isn't necessary anymore.
No.
Yeah.
People have a preconception of years ago of someone just with a big chopper in their hand, absolutely fucking hammering on this bit on a bit of unknown bit of meat. When now it's an art, a practical art form.
Totally, it's a real art form. It's a craft. It's such a specific skill. The guy I was teaching him how to debone a chicken thigh, and then I broke down the rest of the chicken in front of him. He looked at me and he went, oh my God. He was like,
you're a wizard.
I don't know how you do that. He was like, you make it look so easy. He said, it's not, this is difficult. And I said, thank you for acknowledging it.
Do you find people just stop and watch you, don't they?
Yeah, people stop and watch. They want to, and they ask. And one guy asked for, I was like, he walked in, there was something about him, I was like, he's going to ask for a ribeye. And I hadn't had a chance to bone one out. And he was like, hello, I'd like 2 ribeyes. I said, okay, have you got 10 minutes? Maybe 15. Didn't want to like promise the world. And he said, yeah, no, that's fine. I'll just go through and then I'll come back. And then I said, okay. And I really said, 10, 15 minutes? Yep, okay. And he comes back after 2 minutes and I imagine he expects it to be there, like cut to his 250 gram spec. And I'm there like climbing the thing as fast as I can. And he just went, oh, sorry, I didn't know if you were ready. And I was like, not after 2 minutes. I was like, you've seen this thing that I'm going to get your ribeye out of. And then he just watched it. And then he was just really apologetic. I wouldn't have asked if I knew it was that much. And I was like, it's my job. It's not that much at all. But like, and again, it's just like seeing the reason that I talked about the woman screaming at John's. She screamed because she wanted a lamb neck fillet. And there was one in the counter and she needed more. So I get out lammy, headless.
Yeah.
Because that's where its neck is. And
it's in the name.
It's in the name. And she screamed. She went, oh, I just didn't expect to see that.
Welcome to the shop.
And I was like, you can look away if you want. And then one of her friends came in and she was like, have you seen that? Have you seen it? Well, I was just there like cutting, like really trying to hold my tongue. Yeah. But it's a chicken and egg scenario as to how people's attitudes have come to this. But I think it's those kind of conversations that really are impactful, actually. And with my work with Floffal, when I first kind of ventured forth to do Floffal and I was explaining the concept and explaining my food, one of the first conversations I had was with a vegan. And she was like, she said, I love the way that you eat meat. She said, I'm not going to eat meat. I'm not going to change my lifestyle. But she said, I'm so glad there's someone like you now working in the industry that you're working. She was like, you've got to run with this. It's so important.
Yeah.
Since then, yeah, like I love thing. You're as a kid that you possibly could be without like, and that's really what it's about. And I want to. It goes beyond meat, but yeah, specifically with the butchery, it's helped so much.
You can truly appreciate everything now.
Yeah, everything. Absolutely everything. And I just think it's so natural. It's wonderful and humbling. And I just think any opportunity, as I said, to like remove yourself from your entitled, singularly human life, that like this superiority complex is literally what's got us into such a tears most of the time. So, yeah, without getting too deep, like there's a practical element to it as well, and it's just an art form. And I know I'm a creative person, and I've managed to find that. So I'm very lucky. Like I'm 26, so
years. You got years ahead of you.
I've got years. Yeah.
No, I think it's good the fact even that you've come to it fairly recently. Your passion's there, and that's going to take you so fucking far.
Yeah,
so that's the one thing. You get that drive and that passion. Everything else can fall by the wayside.
Exactly. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I put my foot down. I'm just not. I'm really. I laugh at myself. Like that was me at John's. I would laugh at myself, and I just think why am I being this demanding? But I have to do it. And I would be so invigorated, and I come home, my housemates would be like, did you have a good day? And I remember one day I just automatically answered. I was like, yeah, my day was great. I had a knife in my hand for most of it. And it was just when I could come home and be like, I've had a knife in my hand most of the day. She said, that sounds really bad, Floss. Like, I wouldn't say that.
It's a tool.
But I was like, no. What I mean is that I was allowed and I was able to learn and to do that. And when you just get into that rhythm, and it is like, it's just transportative. It's meditation. I think if anyone can find that, whatever they're doing, it's so important. But I would certainly argue there is something, I'm going to use the word, there's literally something primal about it. It's so visceral. It's so intimate and like sensual. I don't mean that in like a way. You are constantly listening, touching, feeling, like moving your body around. Like you forget how, and then obviously you're using your smell when you realize, yep, can't sell that. But I just love it's problem solving. It's problem solving.
It is.
And that's so engaging. And there's no answer, there's no end. And I think there's something really, really beautiful and kind of like pure about that.
Yeah. Amazing. I think Jamie said something good, didn't he, Ant? Where he said, whatever you're doing, just have fun with it. That's the main thing. Just enjoy it. If you can't find enjoyment in something.
If you can't find enjoyment in using your hands, you'll never find enjoyment in life. It's something along those lines. And I was like, what do you say, Luke? I'm just here for the ride.
Yeah.
Oh, is that I'm just here?
I seem to have chosen a profession which I've become absolutely obsessed with, and I can't seem to knock it or get rid of it. It's just all encompassing that I'm making.
That feeling of flesh and steel combined it together.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I know nothing else. It's all I've done.
You're conditioned for nearly 20 years of doing this.
Yeah. It's just relentless.
Yeah.
But every day it doesn't feel. People are like, don't you get tired of it? Sure, the work, the quantity of work can be the issue, but the work itself it is fucking. I love it. It's the relentlessness of it, and the job well done sort of factor at the end, where you can go like the deep breath and go, hell yeah, we nailed that. Or when you're absolutely thrashing through bodies of beef to the best of your ability, producing the highest quality stuff you can, it's the most fun in the world, and it's just a hum. There's sort of like a
wave of ecstasy.
You reach right, and it's just.
So that's what I mean. You reach this like meditative, like hypnotic kind of state where you're in this rhythm, this movement. Your whole body is engaged, all of your senses, and you're just. It's like sometimes you literally feel like you are like half your head is deep in that body of beef because you've got to get that close. So you're just seaming it down and like all of the sounds, and there's a rhythm to it that you reach this point, as you say, where it's just kind of you're entirely engaged. It's so what's that? I find a really good word. It's it'll come to me. It begins with an I. There's a word where it's just like really immersive. And that's what it is. You are totally and utterly immersed in that, and that is, it's something beyond yourself. You're just totally engaged, and it's such a powerful thing. And people do that sitting down. Yeah, people do that sitting down, like meditating. But I love the fact that I can do it in action. With my, like everything that you said. Yeah, it's just it's a process as well. Like you're a part of the process. You can see that at the end of the day. It's just really extraordinary to see and be a part of a process rather than an A to B. There's so many different ways around it, and it's just there's something really like fucking addictive about it, isn't it? It's
Very
really
addictive, yeah.
it's endorphins or it's
the flesh and steel smell. You got the flesh, you got the steel, you got the smells, and those endorphins all light up those boxes for you, I guess, in a way. And, especially being on the block and you've got that aroma, you got the hustles and the bustles behind you, you got the mints and you go on. There's like all those elements like combined into one, and it takes you back to that primal stage. And I think how you described eating offal and just like getting that.
Nothing else matters. It's so I'm prepping it, like having my hands on it, like whether it's oxalt, and every single piece of offal has such a unique character and flavor and like behaviors and the way that you want to approach it, because they all have such fundamental vital functions but all do such different things in vital parts of the body. It just all makes sense. So like why would you not, if you love beef, if you love pork, why would you not want to get to the pinnacle, the essence of that animal? That's its internal organ. You would not have a ribeye steak without the quality of that animal's heart. You just wouldn't. Like, where else does it come from? And so if you're obsessive about your beef, like go further, because it's all right there. And it's a crazy irony that it's so cheap and it's considered like an offcut, like the fifth, the forgotten, the irrelevant. It's irrelevant because what I want is this muscle. Like, no way, you're going straight to the source. That
life starts with a heartbeat, and it all starts right there.
It's so empowering, and it's nutritious, and like I talked about, price point, and if you want to get ethical, you can. But and then you can get really intellectual about it, and just as I said, like the creative opportunities that you have with it is are just never ending. But there's such a tenderness with it as well that I just love, and it's extraordinary just to hold and feel and smell, and it's just wild. Like this thing powered I don't know how many kilos of cow. Like it's just so. Yeah, I want to do an event called Get Plucked with wine.
Cool. I see you do your evenings where you pair with wine, don't you?
Yes, I've done 3 supper clubs, at Berets and Wines. Very cool. And the most recent one was a Valentine's Day one, so that was 5 courses of hearts.
That's a lot of heart.
A lot of heart, yeah. But that was really fun, and it was a really strong concept as well. And I think people, every supper club that I've had at least one person having never eaten offal, at least not knowingly. Yeah. And the first supper club I ever did, I talked to this really sweet couple just by me, and she said, I don't really know what offal is. I was like, oh, okay. So, well, have a great night. And I just walked away because I didn't want
You're going to have fun.
but I didn't. Well, I said, that's great because you don't know, but it sounds interesting. It sounds like an opportunity and that it's possible. And really, that's really how we should approach it as well. We certainly shouldn't ignore it. It's the animal. That's the rehomogenizing aspect to it. But really, for me, there's just something that I find enchanting and so significant about it, symbolically and like practically in so many ways. I can never wait to get my hands on it. And that's my prize at the end of it. If I know I can take the greatest care of the whole animal, you just wait for the day that you find an abattoir that will then bring it back. And it's just every single time, and you just have it. It's just so extraordinary.
What about
so great?
What about like the coal fat? Do you use a lot of coal fat, or do you wrap things in coal fat where you are?
We barely get our hands on it. I mean, I'd love to be more creative, and I've said this. I said we should be making all our own stuff in-house, but we've just opened, and it's not. I can understand that they're a bit like, I'm not really sure about like offal in Mayfair. But it's funny because you get a lot of people asking for operational thing. Slowly but surely, we'll hopefully be like more creative on that front. But there's all these complications, like you know, with abattoirs and stuff. Like some abattoirs just won't give you your offal back.
No.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
But it's a real struggle. I mean, think like getting brains, getting sweetbreads.
Sweetbreads I understand, but it's like I've always found having trouble here and trying to get sweetbreads and the brains. They just won't ever give it to you. But like they're like, oh, but I've got unlimited pig hearts and like livers, and you're like, yeah, but can I get the lamb and the beef?
I know.
Then and there's like, what about like coal fats and everything as well? You like,
yeah, but it's like the hide. I touched on the hides, and it's like all this stuff. Like, where does it go? Well, it gets exported.
It gets exported and then it's tanned and then turned into
Italy. Italy is a huge one. That takes all of
any control, and it's all just yeah. Wow.
Unless you get there first and just like stamp, Flora, this is mine, and then the next one, and then the next one, then you'll probably get your hides back, but they're never going to do that, are they?
Yeah. No. It's. I mean, even I would love to try and investigate that a little more and try and understand it a lot more. But I realize it's like one thing at a time for me as well.
I know down here, the boys who in the slaughterhouse, they're in such a surplus of slaughtermen. And, you know, right now, there's people who aren't paying the guys and girls what they actually do deserve. And so there was, since I opened my shop, they had 3 or 4 closed in the area that I am in Dorset, and then one has remained pretty strong. But even then, they're up at 5 a.m, and then they're working till 8 p.m. They're just such a surplus of them. They just can't. If they're killing 150 pigs, and then you got 200 lambs, and then you've got I don't know how many sides of beef, and there's only 20 of you, there's no way you can get it done. It is, and like I understand. I can't get my offal. I can relay that on to my customers, or the hides as well. Like I understand about the hides, but if you're in like quite a big industrial kind of, you know, quite a high demand one, and you've got like 40 people, 40 blokes doing it, you know, why can't you get the offal?
I know.
Because it's the vets. They just fucking slash it to shit and send it to the bin. You go, yeah, that's fine, and throw it away.
But it's a kidney slash, you know, isn't it?
Yeah. Because it shows the condition of the animal a lot of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I always say that to people as well. But it's something, and obviously you get that with hearts too. But it's a funny one. I just think if you can, you don't have to get all specifically fat. Sometimes even I, but I just think I should really what's there. But no, I just think it is important, and it's the animal's dying anyway. Like, I'm not demanding. There's a sustainability aspect to it. Like, I really believe I'm not demanding any extra animal to be fed, watered, sheltered, raised, anything like that, slaughtered. I'm not demanding. It's all already there.
Yeah.
And that's a really important thing, I think, to consider as well. If we all ate offal, just a lot more, just kind of considered it. There's no. Funnily enough, I just don't think there's any negative to offal whatsoever.
No,
you're definitely right.
It's super good for you as well. Like more so than the meat itself.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just
the nutritional value is through the roof.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
cool. This has been such a great chat.
It has been.
Yeah. Oh my God, I need to tell you the hair. I need to tell you about the hair.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. How can we?
It's just like completely random. It's just quite a foundational moment. This tattoo is of a hare skull, and I can't see it. And I found a hare on the side of the road during lockdown in my feral state, and I forced my mother to pick it up and to get. And like growing up in Dorset, very very rural Dorset, my whole life, I'd never seen a hare in the. And I found this like big butt of hair, like so impressive, just beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I put it in the back of the car, sprayed it with fly spray for the fleas, left it overnight, and then I skinned it and I tanned the pelt. And that was my first like really properly engaged, focused butchery of something. And like hair and rabbit, it's delicate stuff. Like it's really. But I spent so much, and I didn't have a professional. I didn't have a good bone like that. There, I was like, and knives and some of the scissors that you could, and I butchered it quite well actually, and then pan fried the loin and ate all the offal. I didn't eat its liver because it had a parasite on it, and I was going to just cut around the parasite, but then my mother screamed at me. So I didn't eat the liver, ate the heart, the kidney, lungs.
Have we lost her?
In that context? Oh no.
You're back.
Am I back?
You said lungs.
Am I back?
Yeah, you said lungs.
I said lungs. Oh, and it's so funny. Oh, it's now saying like.
We see you.
Yeah? Can you hear me?
Yeah. You are.
Oh, okay, fine. That's so funny. It cut out at just that moment. I said I ate, what did I say? I ate the lungs and the testicles, which were amazing. They're essentially sweetbreads.
Yeah.
But just like, and it was so, that was like one of the most ceremonious meals and entire processes that I have ever done. And I did jugged hair, so it was just a bottle of red wine, 24 hours marinating, and then just braising it down. It was extraordinary. Like it was the most that I spent 48 hours, 72 hours just completely obsessed about this hair. Like I couldn't sleep. I was like, what am I going to do with this? Like, how am I going to? And then I tanned the pelts. And I'm not joking. 2 days after I ate it, I was taking my dog for a walk, RIP, and I saw a hare. I'd never seen a hare in the wild up until this point. And I walked around the corner of the track with my dog, and there was a hare in the field. It was just staring at me. Like,
it knows. Because it was watching you pick it up off the road. That's what it was doing.
And then the next day, I saw a hare. And I just kept seeing hares. And then I'm finished. I went back to London. The next time I went back to Dorset after lockdown, second day I saw a hare. There's really something. And then I went to visit a friend in Norway, and we went up into the mountains, and he'd never seen a hare in the wild before. And we saw a hare. We saw an Arctic hare.
Because you were there.
Whoa. Do you reckon it's probably because
I've never seen a hare in the
you
wild?
made the spirit animal?
Yeah. It could.
Yeah, I think I'm just Lord of the Hares now, Lady of the Hares.
Do you reckon you ate their king or queen? And now
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Do they have?
They would have alphas. They would have alphas and betas in those like communities.
Yeah.
And you probably ate an alpha of some sort, and it's now you've eaten their spirit as well, and it's all connected, and they can kind of tell.
Anyway, I'm not a witch.
No.
Don't doubt that for a second.
No, right. But no, that was just the reason I wanted to bring that up. It was just like it's a good story to kind of encapsulate really like what it means and like what you can get out of things like that. Whether you, like, I'm not saying I'm going to have like herds of sheep following me now because I'm a butcher, but that was just really powerful and like fundamental. And then I had it with wild garlic that I foraged and all of this stuff. It all just kind of ties in and
very cool. They're quite profound moments. They're just
really with some really, really profound moments that just make sense. But I think butchery makes sense using your body in that way, and it's just like it's something very innate that you don't necessarily have to understand, and that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, I feel that sometimes, and it's just fucking rad.
Yeah, it's
super cool.
Besides when Christmas time rolls around. Ugh.
Yeah, no.
Oh, fuck the turkeys. Sorry, fuck the turkeys.
Yeah,
honestly, yeah.
Unfortunate that I just have to do like, I don't know, kill and gut, 40, and that's it. And be like, fuck you, instead of trussing hundreds with your hands swollen to shit the next day. It was like, help me.
People, it's not even that. People just lose their mind at Christmas.
They lose their mind. They're like, but I've got 14 people coming tomorrow. And I'm like,
good for you.
Great. Lucky you. Someone's got a nice big house.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care. It's so funny. The number of people asking for ham. Do you have ham? Like, I can do a gammon. I'm like, but ham?
Yeah.
Well,
it just needs cooking.
Do you have a ham I can cook myself?
Yeah, exactly.
And which pig does ham come from? Yeah, the Brussels sprouts.
Yeah. Do you sell Brussels sprouts? No, do you sell Brussels sprouts that just saves me going to the shop?
Oh.
No.
Oh, we had over the summer. Do you sell buns for burgers?
Oh, salad is the big one.
Do you sell hot dog buns? The sausage. I just want a hot dog, and your sausages are great. Do you have the buns?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go back to the Christmas one. When you do pigs and blankets, my favorite is the kids will have one. I'll have one. My husband will have two. You're like, they come in packs of 10, bitch.
How many's in a pack? Oh, I don't. Yeah, and then you just sit and counting, and then telling you about everyone's appetite. I know. How many are you feeding? 6. Well, no, 4 adults and 2 children. Oh, but she doesn't eat lamb. Oh,
she's a vegetarian. Oh, yeah. Alrighty, Flora. Now we're going to move over to the guest questions. Are you fired up?
As I'll ever be.
Love it.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah. We went from
I'm coming across as a great.
Went from all highs yelling about fucking the Christmas and fuck the turkeys now to like, now it's serious.
Yeah.
Number 1, top of the bucket list.
In butchery or in life?
Anything
you want.
It doesn't have to be too deep either.
Get a deerhound called Wilberforce.
Wow.
Such a good name.
That is awesome.
When you shout the full name across the park, if it was doing something bad.
That's what I was going to ask.
Absolutely. Wilberforce. Like Wilbur for short, but absolutely I would. Wilberforce, yeah. You come like galloping.
Like a small horse.
Yeah, a small.
Would you take this small horse travelling on the bucket list?
If I could, if it was fair on him, I'd have to discuss it with him.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was fair on him, yes, I absolutely would. I don't know where I'll end up. I don't know if I imagine having him in London, but as it's just something that I'm just obsessed with sighthounds. I grew up with lurchers. But yeah, I think just in terms of bucket list, just like just like visions of myself and Wilberforce.
Nice. That's awesome. Number 2, 3 people to invite to dinner, dead or alive, and why?
Francis Bacon, my favorite painter. This is really difficult. Oh my goodness. I maybe I'd want to invite someone. I honestly like want to invite someone if I'm hosting a dinner party and it's awful. I'd want to. Can I only have 3?
It's 3.
3.
3.
Okay. Well, what like the farmer who raised the animal that we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever that is, like maybe it's something amazing. Like White Park came into my head. We had a White Park once in our shop, just like by chance. Someone didn't want it last minute, and I imagine like I can't remember the name of the guy. Are they in Devon? This was in Devon. I think his name was Tom, and it was just like his passion project. And Virgil Abloh.
Who is this?
Who's that?
You know Virgil Abloh? He was a designer really. But he was creative director of Louis Vuitton men's. He was he was a fashion designer, he was an artist, he died he was in his 40s, cancer really sadly, but he did the most insane.
Very young.
He did like do you know Off-White, the brand Off-White?
Yes. Yeah.
That's his brand.
Okay. Oh.
That was one of his clothing lines. But if you look him up, he's literally a polymath. It's just the most extraordinary. And I became really like enamored with him when I was working in interior design and architecture because he was so multidisciplinary. Wow. And I just feel like his attitude was like, what can I do? What can I learn? I can never do enough. So I would love, yeah.
Nice.
The more you
Good
know,
mix of
it's a school day, isn't it?
Aww.
Good mix of people.
Where do you see the future of butchery going?
I think restaurants are now getting in butchers. People are specifically wanting to go to their butchers rather than slowly but surely they're kind of like dipping their toes in, or they say, if it's something special, I'll go to a butcher, but day to day, I'll go to the supermarket. I like to think it will flow through things a lot more, and I think it is already doing that. And people are really interested, like just talking about. Usually, quite often, I think people are discovering it via food, like via the food industry. And I really think that's picking up now because you can't ignore such a fundamental source of meat while you're also talking about forage things and seasonality. Like this whole seasonality thing and British produce and knowing your provenance, like people do it with so many other things. But with meat, yeah, it's tricky. It's difficult and it's pretty brutal at times, but I think people are getting to a point now where they can't avoid it. So actually, I think the future of butchery can be really, really bright. And I think that there is a new generation discovering that they're a lot happier when they're using their hands. And I think it feeds into that trend well. So actually, I'm excited for it. I think we're going to go forward by going back in time, back to the
cool.
I don't want to say basics because it's not fucking basic. It's really
Well,
skills.
getting back to the
But,
core of it, you mean like the
exactly,
fundamental.
yeah. People want to fight. I think people want to rediscover that authenticity again.
Yeah, great.
Right.
Nice.
That's very good. I like that.
Good.
Number 4, death row meal.
Three courses, one.
Yep.
I'll start the main. Yeah.
Dessert. Can't forget.
Starter is oysters.
100%.
Cool.
My main is
I think it's going to
a surf and turf platter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loophole, which is mainly so I would have lots of shellfish, like scallops,
Yeah.
octopus, like some sort of raw, like cured mackerel or something.
Sashimi or something.
Yeah, maybe. Like
Well, I've cured in
cockles.
the way of like a gravlax type thing.
Yeah, maybe, or just like I definitely need. Maybe I'll do smoked mackerel, and then maybe I'll have like cured trout. And I would also like trout livers, and because they're amazing.
Wow. Okay.
And then I would have that with lots of offal.
Yeah.
So just like chicken livers, sweetbreads, just like literally like land and sea, like earth and
Hair testicles.
yeah. But oh yeah, I need hair on there. Yeah, it would be yeah, surf and turf, like an anatomical showcase
Nice.
of lots of different things, and then loads of peas. I'm obsessed with peas. I have a tattoo on my head of a pea because I have a pea head, but I'm also obsessed with peas. It's just loads of peas. What else? Not mozzarella olives.
Cool.
I'm allowed side dishes, right?
Anything you want. Our resources are limitless.
Last meal.
My drink is one drink. Am I back? Oh, did I go?
Yeah. You froze.
One drink. Am I allowed one drink, or can I have three?
I mean,
The sure shot. Whatever you want.
yeah, anything now.
I'm having champagne start, and then with my surf and turf, I would have a dirty martini. So 3 olives, and then more olives on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to get back. We'll be here for too long if I really divulge into like the surf and turf plethora. So, but it would be that design. Loads of fresh herbs, think of loads of fresh herbs, like chopped really, really finely, almost like with like some shallots, that like scattered all over the top, like confetti, like herby, like that would be the garnish as well.
And fresh lemon everywhere.
Herbfetti.
Yeah, well, more like lemon zest rather than, I don't mind like a spritz of lemon, but more like lemon zest. But like with the mackerel, I'd have like pickled rhubarb or fennel or braised fennel. That needs to be there as well. I'm just having lots of dishes now. I'm not gonna. I need to stop because now I'm just having lots of dishes. And then for pudding, I think I would have to have with like very intense dark chocolate around the sides, pistachio souffle with a Negroni.
Negroni, yeah. Very good.
Wow,
I mean,
what a banger.
Yeah, I'm down. I'll have that as well. So I'll take 2, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's I
Very good. Love that.
She gone?
I'm unsure.
feel like you frozen. Oh no! Oh wait.
No, we were sitting there watching.
Okay, no, you're back, and you froze.
I haven't moved.
Oh really?
Yeah,
You both froze. You both froze.
We're
I'm waiting for you.
We've got this.
Cool. Last but not least, and this is more favorite, are aliens real?
Maybe.
Mm.
Everyone thinks like anything's possible, right? If we're here doing this right now, then there's other. I don't know if alien is the term. What's the definition of an alien? Like extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial.
It's so biased because then we're aliens and we're extraterrestrials to the other ones, to the ones in their terrestrial in their territory.
Yeah.
So why not? There's some other form of life, but our definition of life is also according to us. So I really get spooked when I talk about these sorts of conversations. Like I really struggle. I really struggle talking about this stuff. It really sends me loopy. I get very like.
We saw it right at the beginning when I said it. I saw it in your face. I was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Hit a nerve.
Yeah, not even a nerve. It's just like I just can't. I don't know what it is. There was
It's the fear of the unknown, and then like, will I ever know? That's what it is to me.
It is. There's an apple tree in my garden when I was growing up, and every time I walked past it, I used to. When I found out about 4 years old about space and the universe, every time I walk, I don't know why this apple tree. Learning about that used to occur to me, and I used to break down in tears, and I used to cry because I questioned everything, and I used to try and understand what I used to go crying to my mother. And she'd be like, why are you crying? And I said, what, we're going to die. And she was like, why is my 5-year-old thinking about this?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I just couldn't. And it's kind of that sense of being fucked. Yeah. What a note to end on.
Yeah. Don't worry,
Yeah.
the universe is ever expanding. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's the trouble, isn't it? Like the unlimited, the limitless is it getting bigger, and you're like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. Go on forever. Flora, this has been absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been great fun.
Wonderful. Yeah, it has.
And yeah, good luck with Floffal. If you want to plug
Please
anything,
plug
everything you want to.
Just Floffal, just follow me, and don't be afraid, be empowered, and watch this space.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers for coming, everybody. Happy Friday. Bye now.
Bye.